including could the Jets find their next quarterback in Kyler Murray? So let's welcome Tyler Sullivan and John Breach. We have come up with these. Our producer Tito has come up with them. You guys get to react to them. So Tyler, I'm going to start with you. What would you think about the Jets making a trade for Kyler Murray? We don't know if we've seen his ceiling. Hopefully not, given the way things have gone in Arizona so far.
Yeah, I mean, he was limited to, 5 games last year due to injury. He's someone that, yes, hasn't lived up to that expectation. But I think from a Jets standpoint, you're kind of desperate, right? Like, the second Dante Moore decided to go back to Oregon, you're sitting there with the #2 overall pick. You're like, okay, what are we going to do now at quarterback? So I do think you have to explore this option, especially, I think we have to put it into the context of Aaron Glenn basically gutted his entire staff. And what that tells me is that this head coach is on the hot seat. And the easiest way to get yourself off of the hot seat is to win football games. And I don't know if a quarterback that you can find on the free agent market is really going to move the needle for you to win those games. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, if he's fully healthy and can play up to that talent level with a guy like Garrett Wilson throwing him the football, him throwing him the football, that to me would make some sense. And from the Arizona Cardinals, you're hiring a new head coach. You're basically restarting. So it does make sense from that standpoint, especially if you trade him, you clear a ton of cap space. So from the Cardinals standpoint, it makes sense, and the Jets may be desperate enough to do it.
And let's not forget, the Jets, I'm glad you mentioned desperation, because that's exactly what the Jets are. Tyler, they have tried everything at quarterback. So why not take a flyer on Kyler Murray? Go back to 2020. They have had 10 different starting quarterbacks over the past 5 years. You can go back to the Sam Darnold era. Excuse me, Tyrod Taylor, Brady Cook. They signed Justin Fields last offseason. All they do is add quarterbacks. And it does seem like Kyler Murray is maybe someone who could possibly find success. And I use a lot of the words there because no quarterback has been successful there over the past few years. But you look at Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator. He's someone who is good at finding a quarterback skill set and then developing an offense that can work for them. So I think in that sense, Kyler Murray could work in New York, and a change of scenery is absolutely something he needs. You mentioned this is good for the Cardinals because of the cap space. Mike LaFleur is probably going to want his own quarterback, and if you're Aaron Glenn, you're fully on board with this because this gives you plausible deniability. If Murray's good, you look good as a coach. If he's bad, you blame the front office for bringing Murray in. It's win-win for Aaron Glenn. So the Jets do need to try something different, and I think bringing in Kyler Murray would make some sense.
Win-win, but what about the contract, Tyler? I'm seeing a lot of people saying that his trade value would actually be pretty low given his hefty contract. What would that trade value be, and how would the Jets feel about the money?
Well, that's part of it, right? I mean, I think when we look at these quarterbacks that get available, you're like, okay, it's going to cost first-round picks, this, that, and the other. Not the case here with Kyler Murray. You're talking about someone who signed a $200-something million deal not that long ago. So a team is going to be on the hook for a pretty healthy sum over the next few years. So, you know, if you're the Cardinals, yeah, you want to get out from under that, like Breach was just saying. $37 million you would clear if you trade him. For the Jets, you have to be okay with taking that on. And we both kind of alluded to it. You're desperate enough. So in terms of what you would have to give back, I don't know. Is that like a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick? Just because you also are taking on that massive contract. Yes, you may be upgrading at quarterback, but it's something that is really going to hamstring you over the next few years in terms of the contract.
That sound was my water bottle falling, which also is the sound of Kyler Murray's contract being so big. All right, let's go to the Ravens here. John, I'm going to start with you because you're wearing purple, so it feels appropriate right now. Look, Lamar Jackson's their future. They made that very clear. They got to build up the pieces around him. So the trade would be DJ Moore, wide receiver from the Bears. I will tell you that Bears fans have been flipping out that he could potentially get traded.
Yeah, Bears fans would probably hate this trade, but if you're Chicago and you're looking toward the future, it's not that crazy. I mean, you look at what the Bears have done over the past few years. They have young receivers in Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, so you have guys to build around. And if you unload DJ Moore, now you pick up a lot of salary cap space and you focus on developing those young receivers. If you're Baltimore, this makes sense because you're thinking, look, we know we have one receiver in Zay Flowers, but they really don't have anyone behind that. Yes, they have Mark Andrews at tight end, but if we were speaking of receivers, you really want to have a 1-2 punch, which they just don't have. Not to mention DeAndre Hopkins, Isaiah Likely, both likely going to leave in free agency. So that means the Ravens are going to be losing 2 of their top 4 pass catchers from leave. And one other reason this could make a little bit of sense for Baltimore, let's not forget who their new offensive coordinator is, Declan Doyle, who was the OC in Chicago last season. So he has already worked with DJ Moore for a year. Maybe Moore would be up for a reunion in Baltimore. So he's someone who I think could fit in a new Ravens offense right away.
Name the slime without using the word rock.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Breach. I mean, I think that, again, there's familiarity with the coaching staff, but also from a Chicago standpoint, you have all of these young and up-and-coming pass catchers, and I use pass catchers on purpose because you have Colston Loveland there as well. I want those targets to start going even more to the young tight end because he was sensational down the stretch. And again, not to mention Luther Burden and Rome Odunze. There's a lot of weapons already in place for Caleb Williams that it does make someone like DJ more expendable. So if you can get some value and clear some money to continue this ascent under Ben Johnson going into year 2 as head coach, I think that makes all the sense in the world, especially when there's been some effort questions with DJ Moore in terms of running his routes and kind of giving up on routes. I don't know if that's necessarily something that Ben Johnson would particularly love, but on the flip side here with the Baltimore Ravens, and Breach, you touched on it, this is a team that just needs more weapons. Yeah, you could lose Isaiah Likely, you could lose DeAndre Hopkins in free agency, but even if you had them, I would say go for it. Why not? This is an AFC that continues to be wide open. The path was there for the New England Patriots just because a guy like Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, they just weren't in his way. Next year is not going to be the case. I think all of these teams are coming back, including Baltimore, and you still have Lamar Jackson in his prime. Yes, you moved on from Harbaugh.